Hey there, Useless Kitchen. What I'm going to make for you today is a little recipe that I came up with for a dipping sauce for fried oysters and fried fish, and it's my take on tartar sauce, and I call it the Cajun caper tartar sauce. And I'm just going to go over quick what you need to make it. You do not need the Kitchen Bis KitchenAid mixer, the 6-quart mixer. You don't need that. You don't need the Cuisinart. Let me see if I can zoom this in. Again, guys, I'm on the camera. You'll have to excuse me. You don't need the Cuisinart to mix it. This little Cuisinart here is a gem, and I think we might actually use this one today because it's got a smaller bowl. It's easier to contain. But behind that, you can also use the immersion blender. That was like 15 bucks on Amazon, and that comes in handy in the kitchen. You can even use one of your old classic beaters. Your whipped cream beaters will do it as well to make this recipe. And then finally, you got a little metal bowl there with a whisk. If you got good arm strength and a little bit of time, you can do it with that. And then there are the ingredients. We're going to use a couple egg yolks, some olive oil, extra light olive oil actually, and we'll go over that. A little Dijon mustard, some pickles, some capers, some Cajun spice, and maybe a little splash of Frank's Red Hot, you know. Okay, let's get set up. Okay, first things first. We are going to take and cut up 3 kosher dill spears. Okay? Put them in our little Cuisinart here. If you don't have a little Cuisinart, if you're making this all by hand, you want to just cut these up real small. Dice them up as best you can. But because we're using the Cuisinart, we're going to turn these puppies into a little bit of relish. Okay? Okay. What I like to do after I've chopped up my pickles is they're going to be a little bit soupy. So I'm going to take and I'm going to put them on a paper towel. I'm going to wring out just a little bit of that soup. Get some of that liquid out of there, right? Okay. And that should leave us with fairly dry relish. Chopped pickle, I should say, that we're going to be adding to our sauce a little bit later. Okay? So we'll leave that right there. And we'll make a mess because it's the useless test kitchen. Okay. Now, we are going to crack a couple eggs here. Alright. We'll use this discard bowl here. Crack our eggs. Comme ci, comme ça. Try and split them open in half there like that, right? I don't know if you can see this. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to pass that egg yolk back and forth between the two halves. And we're going to bleed off the white. Alright, we'll put our egg yolk in there. Let's do it again one more time. We'll give it a crack in the middle and then see if we can break it in half here. Alright, bleed off the egg yolks. Egg whites, sorry. Put on the yolk. Okay. Now, we have 2 egg yolks here. Alright. And that essentially is the basis for the Cajun caper tartar sauce. What we do is we're going to start by making mayonnaise. Mayonnaise is egg yolks and oil. That's it. Egg yolks and oil. What we're going to add to that is about a tablespoon of Dijon mustard, because that's going to help bind it up a little bit, make it a little bit thicker. So let me walk away from the camera here again and get a spoon, because I'm not ready to pull. Okay. That's a little bit more than a tablespoon. Eyeball it. Alright. Let's put that in there. And then, what else are we adding? We're going to add a little bit of Cajun spice. Now, Cajun spice comes in all shapes and sizes. You got Paul Prudhomme's Redfish Magic, which is wonderful. You have Emerald Essence. A lot of these store-bought ones, they put these spices together for you. You can put them together in your own spice rack, but I find that it's just as easy to let somebody else do the work and pay a couple of shekels for them. Okay? I am going to throw in a splash of tarragon because I have a plethora of herb here. Not something you need to do. You really are making Cajun caper tartar sauce, so you want to start off with the basics and then and see how it goes from there. See how the flavor goes from there. So now to make this, yes, I still got a little bit of pickle relish on the top of this thing here, but that's okay. The way to make homemade mayonnaise is to blend your... Actually, the real way to make homemade mayonnaise is to put the blade in the Cuisinart first, okay? And then begin. See, Chef Agro makes a few mistakes now and then, but well, you know, we'll get on board eventually. You know, start shooting at the right target here. All right. So we're going to mix this up. And then the great thing about this Cuisinart is it's got two little holes here. And those two little holes are to add liquid to your blending. So we will start adding liquid. And we're going to add it very slowly, drip at a time. Now this machine is doing it for us, but if you're making this by hand, you want to add it very slowly, drip, drip, drip at a time, especially in the beginning. And what you'll do is you'll start to get a thickening of your oil and the egg, which is the basis for mayonnaise. Alright, let's take a quick peek, see where we're at. So, you'll note it's starting to thicken. Let's see if I can get a little piece of it out of here. See how it's starting to thicken? That's the oil and the egg whites blending together and thickening up. So I'm going to continue doing this and I'll come back to you in just a bit. Okay, so now I've used about a half a cup of, and what I like to use here is extra light olive oil. So it doesn't have the olive oil taste to it, the really strong extra virgin olive oil. It's very, very light. You can use any neutral kind of oil to do this. But as you can see, we got a good thick, a really good thick mayonnaise-y base right here. And like I said, this was about a half a cup, so I'm going to stop at a half a cup. We're not going to add any more. We don't need to make it any thicker. We'll wind up with cement. Okay? And now what we're going to do, maybe, is we're going to add this to a bowl. Get out. There we go. See how thick that is. Maybe if I put the bowl in view, you can see how thick that is. I'm going to scrape that off. Okay. This little Cuisinart jobber, you can probably find one in the store for 20 bucks. I find them pretty handy to have in the kitchen. I mean, if you're cooking away, it's nice to have something that'll dice and chop and do some of these little things for you. Again, not necessary though. Remember, they didn't have these back in the 1800s, and they were making food a lot better than I am. So, we have a nice, thick, mayonnaise-y base here. Okay, and to this, we are going to take and add our pickles. And I use about a half a small jar of capers. Okay, we're going to put the capers in there as well. All right. There we go. And finally, I like a little bit of Frank's Red Hot chili and lime because I do a lot of seafood. But just a couple dashes of anything for me. Depends on how spicy you want it, right? You can really spice it up. You want to get it nice and thick, and then you can start thinning out a little bit with your sauce. Okay? We're going to mix that up. Look at that. Nice chunks in there. Mix, 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 mix. Okay? And now, this is permanently useless Cajun caper tartar sauce. Put that on your fish, vegetables, you know, put it on whatever you want. But there you go. That's what I use for a bunch of my seafood dishes. Questions? No? Okay.